This is Reclaim Your Life with your host, Esther Lamnyam. Esther will provide powerful information that can be used to reclaim your physical, spiritual, and emotional life through the cycles and rhythm of nature. Please welcome the host of Reclaim Your Life, Esther Lamnyam.
Hello, welcome to the Reclaim Your Life show. I'm your host, Esther Lamnyam. Thank you for tuning in. Today on the Reclaim Your Life show, we have a very exciting show for you. Some of the tips we'll give you today will help you to reconnect to the goals that you may have put on the shelf due to certain circumstances. Some of these tools will also awaken in you a renewed sense of desire for your passions. They will make you more playful, more joyful, and more loving. With the Reclaim Your Life show, you will discover some ideas and approaches that will help you find more time for yourself and even give yourself permission to be fully present with you, a very important person. This will enable you remember or refocus on some of the things that you enjoy doing and have become too busy to do along the way because of life, family, children, or whatever. The Reclaim Your Life show will help you do this by sharing with you very simple tools found in nature and in everyday stories and experiences. So again, what is the Reclaim Your Life show? If you are joining us for the first time and this is your first time listening to one of the episodes, why reclaim your life? Why not just claim your life? Well, you have all the tools needed to create a fulfilling life within you. We are born into this realm with a beautiful or good, we call it, there's no word for beautiful in the village, we say good, with a very beautiful or good divine code. And that has in that code all the knowledge to become what it needs for the next phase. Because at each given moment, you are becoming. You are a human being. God is a being. And we are human beings. And you be. And you are becoming every moment. So you have within you all the elements needed for the next phase of your journey. Somewhere, somehow along the way, some of us lost that knowledge and the how to. You may have forgotten your power and your divine essence. Among other reasons, the atmosphere where you live or the current events and the struggles may have reprogrammed you to almost forget your divine self. Sometimes you may look back at your life, your relationships, your health, your choices, and you go, I need to do it another way. But I need a tool. I've tried everything that I know. I've listened to my friends and I've read a lot of self-help books. I need something different so I can get, different and better results. You may just want to start anew in any area of your life and you might think, I'm getting old. Maybe I should just let things be the way they are. But deep inside you, that part of you that becomes every day because it's in your code to become, to keep growing. That part of you is like urging you to become the real you, to move forward, to experience this life. So on the Reclaim Your Life show, we will help awaken in you that inner flame and memory, that ignite inner juice and power that you have. We'll awaken that with some of the tools we share so that you can use to create or recreate a fulfilling life. This show will give you tools to use to create to your heart's content. Yes, I know this sounds too good to be true, but stay with me and let's find out because this is going to be fun. The key is to do it. Do something. There was a time I also felt very challenged and overwhelmed and stuck. I could see things on my vision board, but could not download my desires into reality or do so consistently. And the issue is that a lot of us do not know how to download. I remember on one of the episodes, I discussed how on my first job out of school, my manager gave me an assignment. He went to my computer and he typed some keystrokes and then he said, okay, download the rest of the files, and he walked away. And I looked at my keyboard and I had no idea what strokes, what keys he had punched. So I had to call him back and said, okay, I really need step-by-step instructions. And I think along the way, a lot of us have gotten a lot of tools, self-help tools, but we don't know how to actually do the step-by-step to make things manifest in creation, like you download from the thoughts to your words, to paper, to concrete. Everything you do is a thought. And then you download it maybe to a project plan, and then you build the car or you cook the food. So on this show, we'll be sharing tools that will really help you download your desires to reality, and more beautifully, do so consistently. Because there was a time I used to do workshops, and I'll ask people about the law of attraction and the secret, and a lot of people would tell me they have done it. And I said, did it work for you? Was it repeatable? Did you do it consistently? Can you do it again? And more often than not, people will say they cannot do it because they need some of the prerequisites and the laws of nature that we will be sharing on the Reclaim Your Life show. Because in my own struggle, I had all the desire to succeed. I paid a lot of money. I had all the books, but I was still having some issues. And I pulled back and I said, let me look at where I'm going wrong. And I found out that there are threads, what I call threads and bridges. For example, a garment, you wear a very beautiful outfit. Hardly do you hear anybody talk about the thread that put that garment together. But without the threads, you cannot have that garment. So the tools we share on this show are threads, bridges, interconnectedness, because the information is there. I mean, we have knowledge. We can put people on the moon. We can do whatever. You can go to the archives on the internet and get all the knowledge that you want. But somehow we are not being productive. Some of us, not everybody. So if you are one of those that feels like, I need something else, this show will give you those tangible and intangible tools that you really absolutely need to create what your heart's desire. Reclaim your life just to have joy, the joy of living a fulfilling life, to fulfill your life purpose, your mission here on earth, your destiny, or just to be vibrant and joyful and playful. That doesn't hurt. The success and destiny of others is tied to yours. Give others the joy of experiencing your brilliance, your humor, and the thing that only you do in a certain way. But when you are joyful with the tools we are going to be sharing today, it's easier for you to be more productive and to exude that joy and happiness, and then to transmit it to the, out to everybody, because there's something that only you can do in a certain way. Unique. You have unique gifts, you have a unique presence, and that is needed by the whole. You've often heard it said that, we are all, like a big, jigsaw puzzle, and every one of us has a place. We fit in somewhere. What I do, better, you do, there's something else you do better. So I share my gifts with you, you share your gifts with me, and then we move forward in this journey, because it's very hard for one person to know everything. I remember long ago, there was a small nook kind of, diner where people used to go for lunch. They flocked and crowded that place for years. And then a few years later, there was nobody there. And I'll tell you what happened. And on inquiring, I found out that there was an old woman in the kitchen. Many people did not know that. And she had passed. And nobody could cook that meal the way she used to. And people went there for the meal she cooked because it tasted just different. And really what she was sharing, I didn't know it at the time, but as I got into healing and learning on this journey to help others, I realized it's all about energy, and your energy cannot be bought, it cannot be replicated. So there's something very unique about you, but you need to be happy and joyful so that you bring it to the table. So you have a special essence about you, that changes the atmosphere and brings success to manifestation. People that walk into a room and dissipate the anger or just bring light and clarity. You have that too. So on the show today, we'll be sharing a lot of, tools for you to, pull that energy up on the fly. In my own struggle and journey and in my toughest hours, I discovered these hidden in plain sight tools and laws of nature that have made all the difference in my struggles. And I hope you find discovering these tools fun, because that is a way of nature. And imitating nature is one of the tools that we use often on this show. The tools I'll be sharing with you today and in future shows, we hope you will add to your toolbox so that you can create a great life, wellness, and great relationships. There are tools from nature itself, as I mentioned, that makes it very easy for you to remember. Because if you are like me, there are so many things to remember. You don't want to remember one more self-help tool. So these tools are from nature. It makes it very easy to remember. And best of all, they are free. You learn how to look around in nature and use a tool to solve issues. When I teach you how to start looking around in nature, you will see at every intersection, every color is a tool you can use right away to activate your life. Today on the show, like I said, we'll be talking about happiness. And some of the tools of the happiness I will be sharing with you today are from my book. These are one-of-a-kind tools. They are from my book called Strive to be Happy, Powerful Tools on How to. This will help you to generate happiness. This book really came out of helping people, helping somebody and writing more about it. And a lot of people love the tools, so I expanded it to a lot more tools. There are more than 100 tools in that book. And you can find that book and the rest of my books on Amazon.com. These tools and strategy you can use quickly to get yourself out of a situation. For example, if you're a presenter or you have to go to work, you have to do something and somebody brings you down, maybe you forget your keys or you have a call that brings you down, or a child is sick or spill something, and you might be upset, but the show goes on. So you use one of these tools. Like on the last show, I talked to you about vowel sounds. Vowel sounds are so powerful. You can tune yourself. So the happiness tools are really to tune yourself on the fly to happiness or above. Because you have the show goes on, life goes on. You have to go into the meeting. You have to take care of the patient. You have to meet that customer. You cannot, stay sad. So the tools will help you right away, be happy. I wish I had some of these tools many years ago, because I remember when I got out of school many, many years ago, I used to hang out with some friends on Friday afternoon. We just, hang out. One used to come and pick me up, and we go meet some other friends from school, and we just sit and talk. And I remember this friend, every time he picked me up and we got in the car, if somebody cut him, he spent the next 5 minutes being upset. Me, I was just so happy to see him, and I wanted to talk, but he was just upset about what the other, driver had done, and he offloaded all of that stuff on me. And I learned at that stage that people's happiness and state of joy really, really affect others. And if you are a healer like me, I did not know about compassion and empathy and sympathy at the time. So I absorbed that energy very, very easily. And one of the tools that I share in my book is, not to watch or read stories that don't make you happy, like television. If you are a compassionate person like me, you can read a story, especially when it has to do with children, and it will just flatten you. Either you stay away from that, or if you don't have a choice and you listen and it flattens you, you use some of the tools that we share in my book, Strive to be Happy, Powerful Tools on How to get out of that situation right away. Some of the tools that we'll talk about today, we already talked about vowel sounds, and I want to touch on vowel sounds. Vowel sounds are so powerful. I discovered this tool many, many years ago. I used to work in the service industry. And on my way home at night, I had 2 jobs. I'll be driving home. Then it was a Hex store, department store. It's now Macy's. I used to be, at the last minute, the customer would just get you really upset. But you'd be so nice and they're not nice to you. So I used to be so distressed. One of the tools I used to use in the car was music. And then one day I started humming. And I realized that even without the music, my humming changed it. And then as I started studying more tools, I realized that vowel sounds are what created the world. The alphabet is 27 characters, but the vowel sounds, without that, we cannot write books or music or sing. So if you are distressed, one of the tools you can use, and you should have this as a little pocket guide, keep it with you, is you can just use the song from The Sound of Music. Do, a dear, female dear, Ray, a golden drop of sun. But you pronounce it, do, a dear, me. If you do that, you actually even feel yourself vibrating. We are all energy. And if you do that, you just tune yourself. It's like a radio station. Whatever dial station you tune on, the way you turn your dial, that's the station you're gonna get. So when you use those sounds, you can literally, if you repeat that song, like on the 3rd time, you actually start smiling. It works. The key is do it. Like Mary said to Jesus, to the disciples, or to the guys, whatever he tells you to do, do it. So do it. That's the key. If you don't do it, it will just be like a book on the shelf. As I mentioned earlier, happiness is not just, it's a conscious choice. And it's not just a conscious choice, it's a strategy. You have to choose to be happy. And when you choose to be happy, you have to use a strategy to be happy, because even though you choose to be happy, happiness is not going to come and say, okay, here I am, be happy. You have to, like I talk about the vowel sounds, you have to actually activate that energy. It's an energy. You can activate it. I experienced this many years ago. In my first episode, I talked about when I left school, there were no schools for me in Cameroon. I actually dropped out. There was one university with more than 1,000 students in the class. I couldn't make it. So I flunked. I dropped out, stayed home. I had no help. And I got very depressed. And if I had some of these tools at the time, it would really, really have changed my life. Depression happens, and on this show, we just share tools. If you need real professional help, see a licensed clinician to help you. We are sharing tools from nature that nature gives us freely, so that you can also use freely to change your life. So, I made a choice at that time to really begin to grow spiritually, and also to find out the power that I have and to lean on my faith in God, because it's a partnership. God can give you all the tools, but if you don't use it, it will not work. I talked about the fact that happiness is really a choice, and it's not just a choice, it's also a strategy. And you have to actually make a conscious choice to be happy. While a lot of people have decided that they want to be happy, many don't have the strategy for being happy, especially when there are so many overwhelming opportunities to be unhappy in this day and age. You could wake up real happy, and by the time you get on the road or get on the train, you might experience situations that will make you totally unhappy and take your happiness away. Sometimes just being alone, you think you are alone, but you might have a thought or a call that could still bring you down. Like for me, this week I had an appliance breakdown. But using some of these tools, and it was so hard, my AC broke down and it took a while to be fixed. But these tools really work, because they really help me just make a choice. Okay, it's happened. What can I do? I can use one of the tools. And I did, and it really helped me be happy. So today we continue to look at tools that will make you happy. One of the tools that we talked about earlier was vowel sounds. Another tool that I'm going to touch on is the pleasure of giving pleasure. Giving is such a powerful, powerful thing. If we talked about the vowel sounds, it's something to really be aware of. Giving is another thing that you should really, really be aware of, because you can change your countenance by just giving. You take the focus off of you and you put it on somebody else. You put the focus on somebody else. The pleasure of giving pleasure. When we give, especially from the heart, happiness flows in. We feel good. And giving is not about money. You can give a hug, you can give a smile, a helping hand, a t-shirt to another child, especially if you are from the village in Africa like me and from Cameroon. You can give some shoes, money, or you can babysit. I used to babysit, and I'll tell you my babysitting story someday. Most giving is not very comfortable, as it takes us out of our comfort zone. But the benefits outweigh the discomfort. And very soon you'll be craving that opportunity to give, because you are a giver. Within you is that giving code. And once you give, your energy recognizes it. Because in giving, you open the channels. Think about a cup of water and think about the bottom being open. Every time you give, the water level drops. And nature doesn't like vacuums. It will fill it up. There's never empty space. There's always oxygen. In fact, when I was like in, ninth grade, I was doing chemistry, and we had to do a physics experiment and create some oxygen. The water level wasn't rising because we needed to poke a little hole at the top of the lid so that the air will come out, so that the oxygen we're putting at the bottom will rise the water up. Why? Because there was air at the top, and I didn't know it at the time. So I learned at that age, 12 years old, there's never empty space. So every time you give, something will come in spiritually, your cup will be full. So that's one of the tools, the pleasure of giving pleasure. So put that down and try it, because once you try it, you will see that they really work. Another tool I would love to talk about with you today is something that happens a lot in relationships, because at the end of the day, it's about relationships. It could be relationship with yourself, or with your coworkers, with your partner, with your children, with your soccer team players, even people you meet in traffic. This tool I call Keep Your Cheerleaders. Cheerleaders, as you know, when they're playing soccer, football, you see people cheering, but people who praise you, people who encourage you. Even God says, praise me. Think about that. If God himself could say, praise me, he needs a cheerleader. What about us? And I will share this tool with you by example. I remember this when Johan, let me give you a quote from my book, Love Under the Coconut Tree. Strive to be happy. Powerful tools on how to. When Johan, this gentleman, was up and coming, he was a young man. He had a very difficult time finding a lasting job and relationships. Eventually, even girlfriends were not sticking with him. He found a girlfriend that stuck with him. And the girl believed in him, and she helpmate him. He was a helpmate. She encouraged him, making sure he ate, making sure he had clean clothes, he had a better wardrobe. And with all her help and coaching, he actually found a good job and started climbing Uncle Sam's ladder. But really, he was climbing Jacob's ladder. So he should have been climbing Jacob's ladder, but he was climbing Uncle Sam's ladder. And after he got to the top and he started to the top and started socializing with women and other people, the movers and shakers, he forgot about his girlfriend. She wasn't measuring up anymore, but she did not know that. So he eventually dumped her. But when he dumped her, guess what happened? Yes, he started climbing down the ladder because she was a cheerleader. She was the energy behind the throne. Behind every throne, there is always a cheerleader. They are the kingmakers. If you look in the lion, you watch Nat Geo Wild, the lionesses are really the ones behind the throne. Even though the male lions go around, there's always somebody behind the throne. There's always a cheerleader. So keep your cheerleaders. Look in your life, in your relationships. It's a choice to be in a relationship. And if you make that choice, there's something you have to bring to the table to make sure that it works. So keep your cheerleader so you don't become like Johan, because once the girlfriend left him, he eventually lost his job. Joy and happiness is very important for many, many reasons. Very simply, it is necessary for good mental, physical, and spiritual alertness. And that's why we really want to discuss this on this show, because a lot of kids and people don't realize their full potential because they don't have the energy just to go out there and work or look for a job or fight. When I say fight, I mean just go out there and do what it takes, or even get up in the morning and go to school. They need that energy, to be vastly productive. I remember when I dropped out of college many years ago, I had no one to help me. So I thought, as I did not realize at the time my own innate power and these tools that I'm sharing with you. I cried and I sulked a lot and became depressed. And I wish I could just close my eyes and not open them anymore. Thank goodness God chooses the prayers he answers. Being so sad, I had not been able anymore to produce any energy. I had no energy. I had no joy. I was no more any fun. These strategies could have helped, because when you are happy, you have energy to go out and search for a solution. Sometimes when you read the newspaper or watch the news on TV, it seems as though the world is full of gloom and doom. Even driving in my car, sometimes I cringe to turn on the radio and listen to the talk show callers, because they also talk about gloom and doom in their relationships. In their own hectic life, you find that you end up sometimes in a never-ending loop and you get exhausted. I work with a lot of people who come to me for iris analysis, and we end up realizing this adrenal fatigue. When you have adrenal fatigue, your body just eventually is just like slowing down because you don't have the energy to work, because you are caught up in this loop and they are not happy. They don't have this joy of life anymore. So it is obvious to see that it's very difficult to feel happy at every moment. But you need to. This state of happiness is the juice that you need. It's kind of like a recursive cycle. You need the happiness to do what you need to do, but the other things you are doing is making you not happy. So it's like, I want to be happy, but I need happiness to be happy. So, but with these tools, you can just take one. Another tool I've shared with you in the last show was music. Just have music. There are certain rhythms, good rhythms that you discover which ones work with your energy better. And you can just have that handy. You just tune onto that station, put that CD up, or put the music, your iTunes or whatever, and just start playing. And it will tune you. All is about tuning yourself to a level of, a vibration or energy zone of happiness and above. So once you have these tools, it's easier for you just to get out there and do it. You might forget how important happiness is and get consumed with your own negative feelings of gloom and doom from time to time. You might also not realize that, your happiness is not anybody else's responsibility. When I coach people, sometimes they blame everybody else. Initially, it's like my husband, my children, my father, my mother. It's true that people come with different scenarios into your life. We can't do much about that, but you can do something about your reaction and how, you choose to be happy. That on the fly, because you can say, oh, read a book, take a vacation. You can still go on a vacation and still not feel happy. But there are tools that work with your natural energy. We've talked about music, we've talked about vowel sounds, we've talked about the pleasure of giving pleasure. These are things that when you do them, inevitably, your happiness just comes because it's been programmed to respond to those things. You are the sole proprietor of your life and happiness. And as you generate happiness, you spread it to your family and those around you. You just need to observe the infectious happiness of a child. And you find yourself smiling even from within. I mean, the child could be somewhere across the aisle or sitting across the room, and you just observe that child and you find that you get joy from their own happiness. So happiness gives us strength. And sometimes when people are sick, you just need a way to get them to be happy, because that's the energy they will need to fight that illness. Even in a battle, you need the undercurrent of joy to be truly angry to fight. Sometimes I watch TV, movies. I didn't used to understand this. You see the bad guys like getting excited. They're like joyful. I'm like, why are they joyful? They're going to do bad things, But they need that undercurrent of joy to go and fight, So happiness helps us deal with silly people and traffic. If at all they're silly people, but that's what we call them when they cut us in traffic. There are lots of books and tools, on happiness, to be happy. Use them. Use whatever works for you. On the ReClaim Your Life show, we talk about practical application tools. They are nature tested. They are nature certified. They are not exotic, but they are battlefield tools to move the dial for you because they work. But you have to try them. Do it. And we will be very happy if you can give us feedback on the tools we share on this show. You can give us feedback at info@imitatenature.com so that others can use these tools also. They know they work and they can benefit from your experience. Or you can just write to us and let us know. And let me know if there's something you want us to discuss on the show, a challenge or a frustration you have or something you've been battling. We will share it with the show on the show. If we don't have, we can look into it or point it to somebody who can help you. Do not underestimate how simple these tools are. Nature's power is in its simplicity. If you truly desire to get a current of energy flowing within you and to pull onto it to create your desires, we have the tools here today to help you. You, through your belief, do your own healing and produce your own happiness and energy. In the world we live today, we know sometimes we need pills, but you can choose to just use tools every day to get happy. One of the tools that we are going to share with you right now is a tool that people talk about a lot. It's called forgiveness, to forgive. I like to really share this tool with you because sometimes you have all the tools and you are doing everything you're supposed to be doing and you feel like it's not working because forgiveness is a very powerful thing. When you hear the Psalms 23, it says, goodness and happiness, joy and mercy will follow me. Think about them as actual people. Mercy as an actual person, goodness as an actual person, they follow you. So think about unforgiveness as an actual person. So when you don't forgive, that unforgiveness blocks. Of all the tools, that we share, if you don't forgive and are not truthful, it is very, very happy. You might as well just stop looking for solutions because it makes manifestation difficult to happen. And when it happens, it's very difficult for it to stick. Even when you solve a problem, it is very difficult for it to stick. Wait to proceed on solving your problems until you have dealt with forgiveness. If there are people you are angry with, find a way to work on forgiveness. I do work with people on forgiveness. I have a whole little program I do. I give them the tools so that they can learn to get all that energy out of their system. Forgiveness is so important in the journey of whatever that the Lord himself says we should forgive. And that's a hint. That's like a prerequisite for your success. In my dialect, I'm from Cameroon. We have many tribes, and we have different dialects. In my vernacular, forgiveness, sometimes I try to translate things to a different language to see the meaning, Forgiveness translates to a loan. Or something you found, like you found some money, or tomorrow is another day. Consider this. Your body holds emotions and energy in certain organs. For example, we know about the heart and love. When somebody is in love, it's, oh, my heart, my heart. We also know about the stomach and stress. When somebody is stressed, they end up with like gastric issues. We know about the liver and anger. And in the village, sometimes when healing is not happening for somebody, they are asked to search their mind and forgive. The reason is because when we do not forgive, we block healing to our own selves. The unfortunate thing is that the physical body has cycles. We talked about cycles and rhythm in another show. And diseases have cycles also. So let's say you had a disease that we say blood would not flow to that area for a certain period, that organ would degenerate irretrievably. You lie in the hospital being pumped with drugs, and you are not healing, and the doctors are doing the best, and they're getting confused and edging on doubting themselves and their own skills and why their medicine is not working. You, on the other hand, hold the key: anger and unforgiveness. You are not being able to forgive blocks the flow of healing energy to the sick organ. If it blocks that flow of sick energy to you, it also blocks the energy to the sick organ, because the organ is already sick. If by some chance you come to your senses, being coaxed by a family member or a coach or a priest to forgive, and you let go, and you finally forgive, if you took too long, the physical body has a cycle. If the blockage of blood flow into that organ took a very long time, the physical body is flesh. It will degenerate and die. So even when you forgive, that organ may not come back to life. They may have to amputate it. But sometimes when you take too long, it's not just the organ that might not come to life. It might be you. So forgiveness can be hard. We all agree. But it's the secret. And that's why it's so hard to love your neighbor, because you are your own neighbor. If you love you, it makes it much, much easier to love and to forgive. So that's one of the tools to be happy. Forgiveness. Forgiveness opens a lot to you, because as you realize, it always comes back to self. You are the generator. You are the key. You are the powerhouse. You are the creator. So it is always going to come back to you. You are like this tree that yields the fruit. Even when it's winter and there are no leaves, only you from within will bring more leaves when spring comes. So you have to make sure that you work on yourself. You forgive, take the forgiveness pill and move on to another level of your journey, because these things are very, very happy. Do not put the responsibility of your happiness on another human being born of woman. Many born of woman have issues to deal with, even the best of us. This is a law of nature, from time immemorial. Teach this to your kids, to your family, the students, the congregation, your country, because this is very, very important. Today we've been talking about happiness, tools that can make you happy and joyful, because happiness is so key in everything that we do. In a stressful world that we live in today, in the bunch of responsibilities on our plate, we really, really need the current. We need the energy to get through. You need that gas in your car. You need that fuel in your system. And happiness is one of those that you really need. So we've talked about tools like, the pleasure of giving pleasure, the vowel sounds, keeping your cheerleaders, forgiveness. And we'll continue to discuss a couple more tools on the show today. Know it's your natural state to feel happy. Your innate divine essence is to experience happiness, and when we connect to God, His own joy, it gives us more strength. When life happens and we react to it, it determines our happiness quotient. You can decide to react in one way or another. Your reaction is what really matters, because it all boils around how you show up. Generally, you may try ridding yourself of negative thoughts, or trying to get around self-doubts. That might be a way you try to cope when you are not happy. Or you might just try to change your cultural beliefs, or to explain the problems out. That's what a lot of us do. But sometimes this doesn't work. Or we may give excuses to justify why we are sad. I've been there. I've done that. A lot of sadness is justified, there's so many things in society today that are not fair. But it does not move the dial for us, even though we are justified to be sad, it does not move the needle or the compass of our success to the quadrant of happiness or success for us. So it's left for us to realize that even though other people will make us sad, situations, death, so many things, will make us sad, We just have to find a way to move forward because we need that energy. Think about your joy, your happiness as fuel. You need to drive that car. It's like energy in your body, in your system. You need it to be able to be creative, to be mentally focused. You could try, looking at problems challenging problems in a different way to overcome it. But hopefully, when you get yourself rid of all these issues, you'll find happiness, you'll find joy, and you'll find freedom, you'll find contentment, or you'll be more creative and you find peace of mind. Sometimes people think that all these states will occur automatically. Like if you do what you're supposed to do, you rationalize, you solve the problem, you take a pill, joy and happiness will just come in without you doing anything. But we have realized that you actually have to use tools. You have to use a strategy. Happiness is a conscious choice, and you have to use strategy. You have to use a strategy to get into these states of, joyfulness, peace, happiness, freedom, contentment, creativity, peace of mind. You use a strategy to get there. On this show, we'll take one tiny step, to do that. The tiny steps are the ingredients. The tiny steps, which are tools and strategies we've been sharing, they are ingredients, and these ingredients act as a catalyst. They'll make your hard-earned work manifest, because the strategies we share here might look very simple, but they are what are going to activate your energy. They're going to activate your happiness. Don't leave it to chance. If you leave it to chance, very soon you'll be dozing off to lukewarmness, and your energy will be too low for you to be creative and to attain your desire. Why is happiness so important? There are so many benefits to happiness. And today's show, we have touched on so many of those tools. Except you are a hermit living by yourself, you have to deal with people. Your energy affects that. You might be the leader of your house, of a corporation. So your happiness is very important because you affect everybody else that you live with. The people count on you. So you don't have a choice but to be happy. Your happiness is very important because it's an extremely vital ingredient for you in using to achieve your goals in life and to help you achieve many other visualized personal ambitions and goals. Also, by being happy, you have the potential to change the lives of so many people, as we have discussed. Another tool that I want to touch on right now is what I call the non-vision vision board. There was a time, and still now, a lot of people talk about vision boards. You need to have a vision board. And what's a vision board? It's a board, or it could be a refrigerator or a wall that you create, and you put a collection of things that you want in life. You cut pictures, you cut drawings, you put writings, maybe you want to lose 50 pounds or 10 pounds, or you put the picture of how slim you are, or you put the picture of that, the young man or a woman that you want to marry, or the house that you want to buy. And the idea is that when you put these things up there and you look at them and think about them, they will come to manifest. We do this to activate the law of attraction. So it pulls all these things from that ethereal space, into our environment, into our consciousness, so we can realize the dream. The idea here is that when we select these pictures and writings, we charge them with emotions and feelings of our passion, and then we can see these things come to life. Vision boards have been proven to work. And I want to talk to you a little bit about this, because what I found out is that what we do is we put things up consciously. We cut pieces of paper and put it in a section of the house. But what I found, if you want to be happy, you have to pay attention to what I call the non-vision vision board, the non-vision quote unquote. And this is something I discovered trying to help people. They might, talk to me about situations. So I go to the house and see how things are. And the non-vision vision board is that when you look around your house and your relationship and your life and your office, there are what I call innocent pictures, words, drawings, writings. Do you see them? You have a real vision board out there, and that's what you are focusing on. Examine your life and see if there are images playing around, because everything is alive and everything vibrates at its own natural frequency. For example, I've coached women who say they want to be in a relationship. When you go to their house, they only have pictures of single, gorgeous women on the walls, alone or with a child. So they end up alone or with a child. There are no pictures of male and females together. So this is what I call the non-vision vision board, because maybe by the refrigerator or on a board they have what they call their vision board. However, the non-vision board is all the other pictures that are around the house and all the other tools, these things are also vibrating at their own natural frequency and manifesting in their lives. So look around. Do you have pictures and things that should not be there? Remove them. This will change your happiness a lot. It looks like it's not important. Like I said, the tools we share on this show are tools that really work. Look around nature, look around a forest. There are many things that the forest doesn't want, like thorns. It doesn't have a lot of thorns. So do not have them also, because it will vibrate in your house. Happiness is very, very important. You need to be happy. So you need to really use some of these tools that we have shared on the show today. The people you love depend on you. Happy people are more productive. Generally, happy people in general are more productive and optimistic and playful. And when people are playful, you are more apt to ask them to help you. And when you help the boss and other people, when there's an assignment or an opportunity, they will give it to you instead of the person who is not happy. The home, the business, and everything depends on you. So we've been talking about happiness, and some of the tools we've shared on the show today are from my book, Strive to Be Happy, Powerful Tools on How To. My other book is called Love Under the Kola-Nut Tree, What City Moms Didn't Tell You About Creating Fulfilling Relationships. These two books are all self-help books, but I tell them as stories, and I use a lot of examples. You can get those books and my book of poetry from Amazon.com. You can also go to my website, EstherLamnyam.com, www.estherlamnyam.com, and you can send us an email at info at imitate nature. Imitate as imitation. Life is imitation of nature. Info at imitatenature.com. Share your experiences with us. Share how these tools have worked for you. Share ideas or some of the things you want us to discuss on the show. When you go to my website, if you want to work with me more extensively on some of the things I have discussed or some of the things you see on the website, you can always contact me through my website, and we can schedule to talk some more about your scenario or your group or your job or your church. Again, on the show today, we've been talking about happiness, and happiness is very important. Happy people have lower stress levels. They heal faster. They have decreased depression. They solve problems quicker. And they are less frustrated with less frustration. In fact, you can actually enjoy a challenge when you're happy. So, again, you are listening to the Reclaim Your Life show. I'm your host, Esther Lamnyam. If you want more information about me or to work with me to help you get into some of these prerequisites, you go to my website, EstherLamnyam.com. That's ESTHER, Lamnyam, LAMNYAM. Or you can send us an email if you have an issue you want us to treat on the next show. Thank you so very much for listening in.
This has been Reclaim Your Life with host Esther Lamnyam. Listen each and every week at this time for powerful tools and positive strategies of nature that will help you reclaim your life.